This story is called The Legend of the Indian Paintbrush. And this is a Native American story. It's a story from the state of Wyoming, which you might want to find on your North America map or your United States map, since we're studying North America this week. And of course, the Native Americans were the ones that were originally here long before any Europeans came or the Europeans brought African slaves with them. So they were the original inhabitants of North America. And this is one of their folk tales. And it's one of my very, very favorite stories. And I think you'll see why as I read it. Many years ago, when the people traveled the plains and lived in a circle of teepees, there was a boy who was smaller than the rest of the children in the tribe. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't keep up with the other boys, who were always riding, running, shooting their bows, and wrestling to prove their strength. Sometimes his mother and father worried for him. So he was a little different, right? I think we all feel a little different sometimes. Like we don't quite fit in. But the boy, who was called Little Gopher, was not without a gift of his own. From an early age, he made toy warriors from scraps of leather and pieces of wood, and he loved to decorate smooth stones with the red juices from berries he found in the hills. The wise shaman of the tribe understood that Little Gopher had a gift that was special. Do not struggle, Little Gopher. Your path will not be the same as the others. They will grow up to be warriors. Your place among the people will be remembered for a different reason. So he has his own special talent, even though it's not the same talent as many of the other little boys. And in a few years, when Little Gopher was older, he went out to the hills alone to think about becoming a man. For this was the custom of the tribe, and it was there that a dream vision came to him. The sky filled with clouds, and out of them came a young Indian maiden with an old grandfather. She carried a rolled-up animal skin, and he carried a brush made of fine animal hairs and pots of paints. The grandfather spoke, "My son, these are the tools by which you shall become great among your people. You will paint pictures of the deeds of the warriors and the visions of the shaman, and the people shall see them and remember them forever." The maiden unrolled a pure white buckskin and placed it on the ground. "Find a buckskin as white as this," she told him. "Keep it, and one day you will paint a picture that is as pure as the colors in the evening sky." And as she finished speaking, the clouds cleared, and a sunset of great beauty filled the sky. Little Gopher looked at the white buckskin, and on it he saw colors as bright and beautiful as those made by the setting sun. Then the sun slowly sank behind the hills, the sky grew dark, and the dream vision was over. Little Gopher returned to the circle of the people. The next day, he began to make soft brushes from the hairs of different animals and stiff brushes from the hair of the horses' tails. He gathered berries and flowers and rocks of different colors and crushed them to make his paints. He collected the skins of animals which the warrior brought home from their hunts. He stretched the skins on wooden frames and pulled them until they were tight. Can any of you guess what he's going to do? And he began to paint pictures of great hunts, of great deeds, of great dream visions, so that the people would always remember. But even as he painted, little Gopher sometimes longed to put aside his brushes and ride out with the warriors. But always he remembered his dream vision and did not go with them. Many months ago, he had found his pure white buckskin, but it remained empty. Because he could not find the colors of the sunset, he used the brightest flowers, the reddest berries, and the deepest purples from the rocks. And still his paintings never satisfied him. They looked dull and dark. He began to go to the top of a hill each evening and look at the colors that filled the sky to try and understand how to make them. He longed to share the beauty of his dream vision with the people. But he never gave up trying, and every morning when he awoke, he took out his brushes and his pots of paints and created the stories of the people with the tools he had. One night he lay awake. He heard a voice calling to him, "Because you have been faithful to the people and true to your gift, you shall find the colors you are seeking. Tomorrow take the white buckskin and go to the place where you watch the sun in the evening. There on the ground you will find what you need." So he's been very determined and persistent, hasn't he? And now he's being rewarded for all his efforts, for being true to himself, right? Not just doing what everyone else is doing, but doing what his heart was calling him to do. The next evening, as the sun began to go down, little Gopher put aside his brushes and went to the top of the hill as the colors of the sunset spread across the sky. And there, on the ground all around him, were brushes filled with paint, each one a color of the sunset. Little Gopher began to paint quickly and surely, using one brush, then another. As the colors in the sky began to fade, little Gopher gazed at the white buckskin, and he was happy. He had found the colors of the sunset. He carried his painting down to the circle of the people, leaving the brushes on the hillside. And the next day when the people awoke, the hill was ablaze with color, for the brushes had taken root in the earth and multiplied into plants of brilliant reds, oranges, and yellows. And every spring from that time, the hills and meadows burst into bloom. And every spring, the people danced and sang the praises of little Gopher who had painted for the people. And the people no longer called him little Gopher, but he who brought the sunset to the earth. The end. So that's a beautiful story about a little boy who finds his talent and his gift. And he's not like the other little boys, but he still has something really wonderful to share with his tribe. And so now I want you guys to all take a little bit of time and think about, what do you think your special talent or gift or gifts might be? Are you maybe a really fast runner? Are you a really good writer? Maybe you're a painter or a drawer, an artist of some kind like this little boy. So take up a few minutes and think about that, because we all have something special to offer the world. And then when you've thought of one thing or a few things, go ahead and write them down on a piece of paper with a couple of words, or draw a picture, and always remember that we all have our own special talent, and that even sometimes when we're different, that's okay. Because we have something else special to offer the world. All right, guys. Bye-bye.